Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to yet another episode of Legit Crypto. Today, I get to talk to another fellow meme coin creator, developer. Her name is Chelsea. And I'm super excited for this conversation because I've been really curious about her project for the last month or so. She's been here on the Legit Crypto live streams a few times and has made an impression on me with her approach. So I'm excited to kind of dig in and dig in live to, I don't know, have a good conversation about running projects, the ins and the outs and everything in between. So let's go ahead and bring Chelsea on the screen and talk about Based Sharon. There we go. Chelsea, I'm so excited for today's conversation. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, Kevin. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited. I think it's super cool.
Yeah. So I've been so curious about, the share or the Based Sharon project. So let's just jump in like I normally do. Give me just the 2 or 3 minutes elevator pitch on, the project as a whole.
Sure. So Based Sharon was started in February of this year. I am someone who's been in crypto since 2021 and always been really interested in the meme culture. My first ever crypto was SHIB, and loved the community, loved what they put out there, and the community was actually what brought me in. So in building this project, I thought that we could build something that that was a meme but transparent, something that could make you money while giving as well. So I would say that Based Sharon is the perfect combination of generating wealth and giving back at the same time. We also, one of the things that I wanted to do very early on was to partner with an influencer who wasn't necessarily in the crypto space. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because I wanted to kind of advertise to people who weren't in the crypto space that crypto could be something real, right? We could partner with a marketing partner who is Steven Shapiro. A lot of people know him. He's a really big YouTuber. He does a lot of prank videos, but then he also has a real heart for giving. So he does a lot of cool videos where he goes into a restaurant and asks for like a single straw and then tips the waitress $500. So when we spoke with him, he said, "Yeah, I'd love to do this." And I said, "Are you in the crypto space?" He said, "I was in the crypto space and I lost a lot of money on Doge." And I was like, the fact that you really want to get involved in this project is something cool. So when you take a look at Based Sharon, we modeled her after Brett's girlfriend. Because Brett was so popular, we do not have a contracted partnership with them. That is something that we would like to do in the future, but it was really just a marketing strategy to bring her up.
I liked
and
it.
To get eyes on it. Yeah. But the core of our project is really to generate wealth and to give back, and to then provoke our community members and our community to do the same through random acts of kindness. So to spread kindness, and that's really what we're all about.
I dig it. I wasn't aware about the whole like kind of the giving back aspect. It makes me like the project even more. I've seen a few that have that incorporated in their ethos. And I always admire it. I'm curious to like hear a little bit more in terms of just how you thought through or how you're currently thinking through the giving portion as well as the kind of wealth creation portion.
Sure.
How did you think about that when you're like literally just conceptualizing the project as a whole?
Sure. So this actually came from personal experience. So my husband and I have an account that we put a 10% of our income into, kind of like tithing. And every month we would give that away to somebody that needed it. So it wouldn't necessarily be a church or foundation. It was really just if we had a friend that couldn't make the rent that month, or someone needed a new car,
so cool.
or so that's this was actually my husband and my idea. He's just not a crypto guy. And so we thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could do something like that and just make it a charity that was transparent? So we have our charity wallet published on our website. Once it hits a certain amount, we give it to our giving partner. He goes and does the giving video, and then tags us back in the video. So that's kind of how this works. But that's how that came about. We literally do that in our personal life, and we figured that this was something that we could bring over to crypto.
Man, that's so special. You know what,
Thanks.
it's so cool that you've taken, I mean, the giving approach as a whole, but what I really like is the whole generosity approach to even a single person in need, because it can be
Yeah.
so easy to like, have a few $100, a few $1,000 or whatever it might be, and then donate to some
Yeah.
random charity which you believe in, which is great. I'm not knocking it.
Yes.
But like knowing the immediate impact that you can have on a single person
Yeah.
in such a huge way is, I don't know, it's really admirable. So that's cool
Well,
that you're trying to carry that over.
it's super cool to see, right? When when you have money, and we have to always keep privilege in check, right? And I think we do in this country in general. And I think when you see that such little amounts of money can change people's lives, I think we don't realize that on an everyday basis. And
Yeah.
so I think that that's something that we've just always valued, just being able to help in little ways. And I think they're little ways to us, but they're really big ways to other people.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
When you first reached out to me on Telegram, I remember one of your questions was around like doxing myself or yourself, or you had
Yes.
some like questions around that. How have you, I mean, obviously, you're here showing your
I'm
face
doxed.
and, which is awesome. And, I'm all about, obviously. How was that decision-making process for you? Was that something that you kind of planned on, didn't plan on? Like you're
So
here now. So like, what's the thinking?
yeah. So from the beginning, I think it was something. So we'll get into this a little bit later about my team, but and the story of how I got into crypto. But I have 3 team members
Mhm.
in our central team in the U.S. And so I had discussed it with them. And then it is a really hard decision, right? We want to be as transparent as possible, but there are a lot of scams and a lot of I don't want to say a lot of sketchy people in crypto, but there can be. And
There's a shit ton of
there
sketchy
can be,
people.
right? Yeah, and I hate to say that about the space, but what's so funny is I thought that before. Once you get into the space as a project manager or developer, you understand how much more sketchy people there are than you thought there were, which I didn't think was possible, right? And so it was a really big decision for me, not because I wanted to be behind the curtain, but because I do have a family, right? And we
Right.
do have kids. And so, just like a social media influencer or an influencer, on YouTube, you have to be really careful about how much you expose of your life, because there are some nutty people out there.
Totally.
And so we wanted to be safe about it. So when I sat
Yep.
down and talked to my husband, he's like, I don't think that you can do this without being transparent, because it defeats the purpose of the project. And so we ultimately decided that this was what I was going to do. And I think that in general, and you probably notice this too, but in general, it really bonds your not only your remote team but your community members to you when they can actually see who you are. And I think there's something to be said about mystery and kind of not knowing, who's behind the curtain. But I think you can build trust a lot faster this way. And I thought that that was a good thing to do.
Yeah, it's, my kind of thinking on it now that it's been almost 5 months since I started this project, kind of
Yeah.
unveiled, coming from behind the curtain, is, the biggest thing that I saw as a problem in the space, just like you mentioned a second ago, is all the scam artists. So I was like, okay, there's a real problem with trust and credibility. Well, that's an easy thing to overcome by just, being transparent and saying, hey, this is me. And so I very much think it's the right approach. It has, it's shown me that it's been the right approach with my very own project. However, on the other side of that coin, you're right about the mystery. And I've always been, I'm always drawn to, the Bitcoins, right? Like, who's Satoshi? It's
Sure.
this mysterious person. And of course, that's a very easy one to point to. But I'd be lying to say, I haven't been curious whether or not, like, it is the quote unquote right approach.
Yes.
in the grand scheme of things. Yet the one silver lining, at least for me, and I'd love to know if you've kind of experienced this as you've grown your community, is the relationships I've been able to build with just random strangers on the internet who believe in my project has been like worth its weight in gold. So
Yeah.
when have you I know you have a team, right? You have a team of 3. How has it been kind of building your community? How's the relationships going? Have you had any key players come out?
Yeah. So it is interesting, right? It's this whole it is like a trial and error project. Until you get into it, you don't know what you don't know. And I think that's why I reached out to you in the first place, because I was like, oh my gosh, she's another docs dev that like will be able to give me some wealth of knowledge in this area. The team members here are people that I know. And then you get into Telegram, you start building that out. And the first thing people want to do is they want to build your Telegram and build Discord. Well, that's a lot to take care of for 1 or 3 or however many
Totally.
people. And so you get in there, and this is something that I found really interesting, and I don't know if it's something that you have too, but not knowing, here in the US, we go to Fiverr or we go to LinkedIn, right? To find people to work on our projects. In the crypto space, you go into Telegram and you have to figure out who's real, who's not real, who is actually going to work after you pay them, whose designs are actually whose. So it's this whole game of, even if you're doxxed, not knowing who you're talking to on the other end. And so it took a while for me to realize that we do have a core remote team now. A lot of them volunteered for me for a really long time. So we've been launched since July 13th. And so I think you get in there and you get this flood of a million people asking to work for you, asking to, do art for you. And it really is a waiting game. That's the thing that I've learned, is to just sit back and watch how those people who want to work for you, are on like kind of a trial period and are active in your community and are asking what you need. And my team right now, they're unbelievable. And so I've formed relationships with my team. I have 8 of them right now that are working on a regular basis. We've split up their job responsibilities, and they're there for me night and day. I'm not even sure that they sleep, to be honest. They're probably all laughing right now listening to this, because I'm constantly like, will you please go to bed? Because it's hard as a project manager. You will wake up at 3:00 in the morning and look at your phone. You look at your Telegram, right? And I'll see them all on there and I'm like, what the heck? Like, you got to go to sleep. I'm going to have to lock the chat if you don't go to sleep.
That's really funny.
Yeah. So I think that that's like the biggest thing. I've been able to form relationships with people who are across the world, right? And they've been able to trust me and I've been able to trust them to build this together. And that's really cool.
Good on you. Quick shout out to Joseph, who's in the chat right now. He's actually on my team, and you're describing exactly, him to a T, because, it's like these people that believe in your project. They're really dope people. They want to contribute. They're not trying to like scam or like just get paid. They really just want the best. And it is incredible. So people like, Joseph that I have on my team that really support in that way. Joseph, go to sleep, by the way.
Yeah, there you go. See?
Get some rest, dude.
Yeah.
But it makes it so rewarding. Yeah, it totally does. It's completely motivating.
Yes.
So I 100%. Hear you.
Yeah.
And the vetting part of that process is, it takes time, like you mentioned. You got to, weed through all the fakers to get to, the real gold. So I'm glad you have some people that are around you that, are able to contribute it in that way.
Me too.
You mentioned, so I've heard you say the word, project manager a couple times. Would you consider yourself the project manager, the director of it, and you kind of have your different roles? Is that what I'm assuming? you were
Yeah,
saying?
so you know what? I'm not really even sure what to call myself. I'm the creator and the founder. I'm not necessarily like a technical dev, so I kind of shy away from that, even though I am technically the dev. And I am the project manager. I have a project manager who works on the remote team that handles all of the project management within that team. But yes, I would consider myself the project manager. I think I'm coordinating everything from like, from the umbrella stance, and making sure that we have the right amount of marketing dollars, and we have enough animations, and then they're contributing too. We had an issue with our security, and last night, as I was telling you before we got on, and they're quick to like grab that and run with it, even if I'm not in the Telegram.
Yeah.
So I think that's how I see myself. It's a weird position to be in, because I think everyone's kind of working for the common goal, right?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Um, did did you, I mean, I'm assuming obviously you've self-funded, a lot of the initial start to this project, but you just mentioned a marketing budget. Like, I don't want to ask you point blank like how much you have invested, but are you
I'm not going to answer that
investing
point.
like, yeah. Are you, I mean,
So
I'm assuming because you're still early, there's a lot of like your own capital investment up front to just get the ball rolling until you can actually leverage some of the marketing budget from your token and your tokenomics.
yeah,
Is
so
that
yeah, so we're self-funded. I do have one investor who's a friend, who
mhm.
invested some of the initial liquidity, right? Because when you first get in, you want enough
Sure.
liquidity. Yeah. Or else
Yep.
that's the thing. Like people just think you throw these coins up and then, and they just start making money. I feel like, and what's funny is it is funny. Like it is funny because some of them do, right? I'm always kind of puzzled by that. Right. And I think that part of that is the time that we're in right now. In 2021, when I first got into crypto, everyone was just throwing money at coins. And I think that is an indicator of the bull run, where people are just like, oh, that coin's coming out, let's just throw money in. This is not the same as that. And building a project, when you're not in the bull run, is very different than building a project when you
Totally.
are, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Hey, I just brought
as
up.
far, sorry, sorry, go ahead.
No, please continue. I just brought up your chart. I want to ask you a quick question, but continue your thought. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, so we are self-funded. We do have a marketing budget. It is smaller at this point. We are meeting with investors. I think part of, and I don't know if you have come across this or if you're looking for investors, project investors, but one of the things that we don't want to do, we've had a couple of people offer us quite a bit of money, to invest in the project, and asking where those funds are from and making sure that they're ethically sourced is, a
Hmm.
very different thing in this crypto space, right?
Oh yeah, I'm
Um,
sure.
yeah, there's a lot of sketchy ways that people are getting the funds and then trying to almost launder them through your project. So we've had to really vet them and say no to quite a few people at this point. And so we're looking for the right investor. We're looking for someone who wants to be, a team member, who believes in the giving aspect of it, because that is a big aspect of it, and it also drives marketing and price movement to the coin itself. So I think we're just looking for the right one, and once we find that, I think, our budget will go up. Obviously, we have a tax on the coin, so once that volume gets up and running, that provides some kind of, marketing funds as well. Um, but it takes a while to do that. So
Yeah. Good on you. I mean, I come from the background of tech, startups,
yeah,
VC, and yeah, you don't want dumb money or
no,
illegitimate money in the mix. So yeah, wise move to be able to make sure that you're talking to the right people and do your due
yeah.
diligence, because yeah, that could really do a lot of damage not only to the project and community, but just yeah, it's just not
Well,
a
and once you,
not a
when
risk that you want.
no, and once you get big enough, I think everyone starts to nitpick, right? So,
Yes.
and I think that's the point. We may not that source may not get exposed right now, but it will get exposed later, if your coin does well, or your
Yeah.
project does well. I think so. At this point, we really want somebody who is very legit. So
Yeah, awesome. Here's what I was going to ask you. So I just pulled up your chart on Deck Screener.
oh, great.
Just for the no, it's totally cool. What I'm curious about is like it looks like in the first week or so you had a really nice, kind of run up
Yeah.
to your current market cap of around like 215K, which is
Yeah.
totally great for where you're at right now. What was responsible for this big run up?
So
And then you
we
kind of
have,
you formed your floor right there, which is kind of impressive because normally you'd see a big dip right down.
yeah. So this is something that is disclosed, and I will say it on here too. We did a fair stealth launch, which in retrospect, I'm not sure if that was the best way to do it, which is why we're doing a small pre-sale right now.
Hmm.
On Pink Sale. It really isn't to raise funds, it's to get more eyes on the project. And
Hmm.
so we're kind of using that as a trial, which we may do a couple more rounds of it. We're just offering 100 million coins at a 30% discount right now. So that was just to bring eyes to the project. When we did the Stealth Fair launch, we did have people that we personally know, or are a second degree from us, that were interested in investing in the project, period. They were less interested in investing in the crypto aspect and more interested in investing in the giving aspect. So for
Hmm.
us, that was a very, very good thing. So
Yeah.
we are in contact with pretty much all of those first investors. They're in a separate chat right now. And it's so funny because I think someone else who was on who was on Legit Crypto, maybe the Pinot guy, or the,
Hmm.
right? He was talking about having like a whale chat. And so we do talk to them on a regular basis. The good thing about that for the project's sake is that that floor price that you're seeing right now is really going to stay pretty close to that because these
Hmm.
investors are committed to holding, and not committed to holding for just the run up. If it runs up and then they dump, they're committed to holding for the length of the project pretty much at
That's
this point.
awesome.
And so for us, that's a really great thing. So we can just kind of go up from here, I think is what it looks like right now.
V- Very cool. Someone in the chat Chris asked, "Is this coin launched yet?" Yes,
It is.
this is launched.
Yeah,
You
it
can
is.
go
And we have
purchase this coin right now.
we do have a pre-sale going on Pink Sale right now. It's going on for 2 weeks, and you can actually get it for a 30% discount as long as we reach the soft cap. So you can go ahead on Pink Sale and take a look at it too. So there we go, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like everyone wants a sale, right? Everyone. So we did this small sale to just bring in eyes, basically, and in like just like you're doing right now, it's like finding the best marketing for your buck at this point, right?
Yeah.
And that was something that we considered. So
That's really cool. I can't wait to touch base with you kind of after you close out the pre-sale. It's kind of not a pre-sale. It's kind of like a
I
different
know
sort of sale, but I get it.
it's
I'll be
it's
really
not
curious
a
how that worked
private
out
sale
for
either.
you.
Yeah,
It's
thank you.
would you consider like an over-the-counter sale? I'm not really even sure if that's the right
Yeah, I
term.
don't know. I don't know. When we were doing it, it was like you could either do a private sale, which was much harder because then what you have to do is you just get everyone's address and then you have to send it out manually. And we wanted it to be automatic, which is why we classified it as a pre-sale, but it really isn't a pre-sale because we're launched. So I think that confuses people, but as long as you can get it for less at this point.
Yeah, either
Yeah.
way, it's like you said, throwing a certain amount of your team's tokens at a marketing play like this is not a bad thing. I'm really going to be curious kind of how it ends up working out for you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Um,
Me too.
so earlier you mentioned, was it Steven Shapiro? Is that
Yeah.
the guy you're working with?
Yeah.
Funny enough, I wonder if this is him. I have to go back and look. I think I might have come across one of his videos. Maybe it's not, but it was that same sort of concept where he's like about to tip someone or something, and I was like,
It
this is the
it probably was.
coolest
So
video.
he used to be part of there's another group called That Was Epic, and he's a part
Mm,
of that group as well. So at some point he said, "Hey, listen, if this gets big enough and we don't have, if if your daily volume is a lot, what's going into that charity wallet is a lot. So if we ever get to the point where we need multiple people and multiple giving partners, they may be someone that we'll be able to connect with as well because of him. But yeah, he's super funny, just super nice, and the fact that that he even got back to me is pretty crazy, right? Because he's got 4 million followers on TikTok, 3 on YouTube. And I had reached out to him in a random DM, and I do that. I run a podcast too, and so I know like all about that DM thing, right? Because we reach out to people, to guests on our podcast as well.
Yeah, you're
and
really good at it. You're really good at
Yeah.
it, actually.
And I reached out to him in a random DM, and he, I didn't know until later, but what had happened, he wrote right back to me, I think within like 15 minutes or something. And I had written him a blurb about what I was doing, and he's like, "This sounds really cool. Let's set up a meeting." But later on, when I talked to him, he said, "Actually, I'm working with another girl that looks kind of like you, and on fashion," which is funny because my daytime business, I own a recruiting agency in the fashion industry. And so he said, "I'm working with this other girl that looks a lot like you on this fashion line, and I clicked on you thinking it was her." And so it was by chance that he even got my DM in the first place, which is kind of cool.
Wow.
And my husband's like, "It's fate, you know."
That's so serendipitous. I love it.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah. So go ahead.
Have you found that obviously his reach is kind of, with 4 million, followers on TikTok and 3 million on YouTube and all this, he's got a really broad audience of like, quote unquote, as crypto would call them, normies.
Yes.
Have you found, with, some of the promotions that he's done, that you're attracting more people that aren't used to this crypto space? And like what are some of their common objections or concerns, questions,
what we found
investing or anything?
What we found so far, and he's only done 3 videos for us, so it's new. But what we found so far is that we're getting a lot of brand new people to the crypto space. So they may have bought 1 or 2 projects, but they're not fully in. They haven't been in for years. And basically what they've said to me is, we saw your sponsorship at the end of his video. And what caught us is like the crypto word, and then we would reel it back, scan your barcode, because we have a barcode on there, you can scan it and go to our website. So we found more that it's hitting the newer crypto population than normies in general, right? Which I think will change, and I'm hoping will change once we get back into the bull run. Crypto is all over the news like it was in the last one, right? So people are kind of dipping their toe in, but not really knowing what to dip into yet. And if we have an influencer out there doing this kind of video and marketing us back, I think that may be an entry point for some non-crypto people. So that's what I'm hoping anyway.
Yeah, it makes sense. And that's one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about in terms of, the crypto community and ecosystem as a whole. The only way that it grows, whether it's in the meme coin space or the blue chip, or AI crypto or all this, is if we get more and more people from like just normal people that either want to kind of be a part of the game and give them an easy path or, path of entry in. And the one thing that, I found, sorry, I got to put my phone on focus. One thing that the one thing that I've found is, the ease of understanding, a project like mine where I'm creating a game, or a project like yours where, you have a relatable character and this giving component. It's really easy to grasp.
Yes.
Whereas some of these other things are a lot harder to grasp. So like my true hope is these quality projects with legitimate people like yourself, can help usher in more people to get curious and just dabble in crypto, so that like, everything just kind of starts to, grow outwards in terms of the people that are, investing more here and there. So that's been a large part of my hope.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
love that.
cool to see that you're partnering with people that can kind of like, bring more people in and, and keep meme coins and crypto as part of the kind of the greater conversation.
Yeah, I think the meme, I think memes in general bring people into the market, right? It brought me into the market. Well, kind of brought me into the market. I can tell you that story now if you want. But I got into crypto. So I got into crypto in 2021. Our neighbor across the street bought Bitcoin at, I think it was seven. He'll kill me if I get this wrong because I know he's listening because he's one of my partners. He bought into Bitcoin, I think, at $750. Um,
Shit.
yeah. And it's so they lived across the street from us. They're good friends now, him and his wife. And he kept telling us about it. But for me, like I said, I run a business. I have two kids. I didn't have enough time. But then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go on and I'm gonna start researching. So I watched people like Tom Crown, Jason Casper, and a bunch of TA. I watched Crypto Lifer, a bunch of TA people because I was interested in trading as well, which I
Mhm.
eventually learned how to do. But in that, SHIB came out, and I started because I was looking into crypto. There was this community. Their community was really tight knit. They were really open to talking to people who were not in crypto about crypto, really letting you know that you could get in. It was easy to do. And so I found that community endearing. And I think that that's something that meme coins do that a lot of utility projects don't do. I think it's intimidating, especially for
Yeah.
women. And I mean, how many women do you see in the space? I mean, it's growing, but not even close to as how
No.
many men are in the space, right?
Yeah.
And I think I think a lot of women have less disposable time, and it does take time to learn crypto. Whether you're just learning how to get a MetaMask wallet and you're learning how to transfer from Coinbase to MetaMask, I think it takes a lot of time. And so I took that time, researched, found SHIB, invested in SHIB very, very early, and it ended up doing really well. And so that's what brought me in, and that's why this space, the meme space, is so dear to my heart. I think because it does bring people, outside of crypto in.
Yeah. How cool. That's so cool that you're
Thanks.
like early in SHIB and you're able to kind of like use that as a springboard into your own project. What a great origin story.
Yeah, and you know
Um,
what? What's funny is the guy who told me about Bitcoin. I had called him and I said, "I think I want to invest in the SHIB thing. What do you think?" And he goes, "I don't think so. I think that's pretty much crap."
all the naysayers, like you never know what's gonna hit, and then something
Now
does, and
he
you're like,
owns it. Now he owns
oh,
it. Now he's
yeah.
invested.
That's
But you never
awesome.
know. It's a roll
Yeah,
of the dice. So
totally. Hey, for everyone in the live chat, in about say it's like 10 minutes or so, we're gonna open up for a community Q&A. Pale Vampire, another one from my community, one of
cool.
the OGs, has a question. Thanks for dropping that question. If anyone else has a question, we'll kind of roll into that in just a bit. So please, throw your questions in the chat and I'll star them, and then we'll kind of go through them in just a second.
Very cool.
Um, you know, I recently did a video on my YouTube channel of like if I were to jump in a time machine and start this whole
Mhm.
thing over again, what I would do. If you were to jump in a time machine and you're like,
Oh
okay, you're
gosh.
back to, you know, a month or however long before you launch your project, a few weeks, like what are some of the things that you would either, do differently or, just do over
Yeah.
or not
So
do?
so I think one of the things is that I would have um stayed out of my DMs on Telegram a little bit more.
Me too. I would have saved a
Like
lot of
because
money.
you get so caught up in that at first, right? As soon as you build your Telegram, it's like a million DMs, and I know that you have to. I mean, although I think I met some of my team members through those, but I think I would have, for the most part, stayed out of them and maybe done a little bit more research on Reddit through other project developers to know what exactly scams looks like, right? Because at the beginning, you're throwing money at whoever comes to you and says, hey, I can do this. Can I call you in a group? Can I do an AMA? And then at one point, I think I ended up on an AMA. The guy, I think it was like me and the guy in there, and that was it. And I'm like, I totally,
Like,
and
what
like
is
in
this?
the middle, like 5 minutes in, I'm like, oh, I totally just got scammed, right? Because they ask you for a donation for like
A
their
donation
giveaway.
giveaway or whatever.
Yeah, but like you don't know that stuff until you go through it. So I don't know if that question is so good because obviously there are things that I would do differently, but I don't think that I would know what I know now if I didn't actually do those things for myself, right? And so I think that that's what I would have done differently is just stayed out of my DMs as much as possible, gotten the team in place. If at some point they didn't work out, go and find some more people through those people, but not necessarily read every single DM that I had in there. So I
God,
think
that's
that's
a
probably
good
the
one.
biggest thing.
That's such a good one. It was so crazy. I remember launching my Hody project, and like, everything's going crazy. My adrenaline's running high. Like,
Yeah.
it's all exciting. And you know what? Like, that's easy prey, and I
Yes.
was certainly easy
Big time.
prey in
Yep.
like some regard. So yes, that is a
So was
really
I, but like
smart thing.
so was I, but you have no reference, there is no reference. Like I think you were the reason why I started watching you is because I wanted to start this. So I started watching your making a meme series. And so that's how I knew who you were. And you were the only one out there really doing that, doing it step by step so that you could understand what mistakes you made. And I thought that was so cool of you to do because I think getting into this, you really don't know. And unless you're very VC backed that can get every top notch person into your project, there's no way to do that other than to watch somebody else do it. So I really appreciated that.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. There are so many damn pitfalls, some that I'm, still trying to
Yep.
navigate and spot to jump over. But like, yeah.
Mhm.
So I was like, hey, what a great way to, one, create content and share this treacherous journey.
Yeah.
To help other people and just kind of learn the lessons along the way. So I'm glad. I'm
Yeah.
glad that, you've gotten some value out of it.
Oh yeah, for sure. We got a lot out of it. Actually, my whole team knows who you are, and I think we've referenced a lot of what you've done or any mistakes that you said you've made. We've tried not to make those, and I think it just is valuable to people who are doing this kind of project because there are so many pitfalls that you can go into, and then also you can waste so much money in this game, right?
So
So much,
much.
and everything is so much more expensive than you think it's going to be. The animations for one, it's like incredible, right? Like how much
Yeah,
people,
it's insane.
yeah,
You should try. Yeah.
it boggles my mind. I'll shout him out, but I have this great animator, and he drew all of the Sharon stuff, and I found him on Fiverr, and he didn't have anything close to what we were looking to do, but just his talent is unbelievable, and he has done the entire thing for us, so he's been great. But the animations, man, they can kill a budget real quick.
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah,
telling you, like right now I'm spending about 2 grand a month just on illustrations and animations out of
for
pocket,
sure,
right?
for sure.
And it's super important. And I learned that lesson the hard way. Is like, you got to have a constant flow of content that catches the eye and people can
Yes.
use to keep things fresh. Had I known that earlier, I would have started earlier, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's crazy. And then, I mean, for
Yeah,
me, like I'm creating a game. You don't even understand the sheer amount of animations and little details that can go into a
I'm
character.
sure.
It's crazy.
I'm sure.
Um,
That's so cool that you're doing that. I think that's super cool, and that brings like a whole different value to the project, and a whole different user base, right? Because now you're getting people
exactly.
who, right? It's great. Um, I wouldn't delve into that, but I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's quite the task. I mean,
Mhm.
I come from more of like a product, builder background.
Mhm.
So, for me, it's kind of fun to think through all of the logic, but still, it's no small task
Yeah, no,
whatsoever. But we'll see. We'll
no,
see.
it's
We'll see
awesome.
how it turns out. Hey, do you want to move into a couple community questions? I've got a
Yeah, sure.
few starred here, so let me just pull these
Sure.
up. If anyone else in the live chat has any questions, we're gonna kind of finish this off with a community Q&A. So we got, let's see. Pale Vampire says, question for Sharon. What assurance could you give to a potential investor about your long-term commitment to the project? And are there any unique aspects to your project? That's a good question. Pale is actually, one of the large holders of my project. So I think it's a good
Awesome.
question.
Yeah, I love that. So as far as the long-term, the long-term vision of this, we are, myself and my team, we're all committed to this long term. We, as well as Steven. I don't know if he likes to be called Steve or Steven. So I think I like mess it up and he never corrects me. So I don't know. But he basically is on for the long term too. Again, we've invested and self-funded this. We do have other people that later on are interested in putting more into this as well. But my team and I are looking at this as a long-term project that is going to just grow in terms of the ecosystem, in terms of the project, in terms of our ability to give and how much we can give in the future. We would like for this to be a household meme name, right? I mean, everyone would be. We would like to have this be a SHIB or a Doge. But something that does have somewhat of a utility, and so we're looking at building out the utility of our giving aspect, but also looking at building a couple of other utilities that I'm not going to divulge right now, but have to do with the workspace and getting workers to work for projects like this in a very easy and maybe undoxed way, because they don't always like to be doxed. So I think that there are other aspects to this project that we'll be doing down the line, but we are in this for the long haul. This isn't a short-term project for us.
That's really cool. I'm gonna have to ping you offline about what you're building right there, because it sounds like an itch I've been trying to scratch.
Yeah,
sure.
No problem. Yeah, and as far as unique aspects, it really is that we have a marketing partner who is able to market to retail that's not into the crypto space yet, right? So that's the unique piece of our project, is that we have access to a very large amount of people that when the bull run starts and crypto starts to ramp up again, when people are looking to get in, this will be a very easy avenue for them to get in with.
Yeah, cool. Good on you. Thank God for people opening memes with, opening DMs
Exactly right.
for your lookalike.
There we go. I'll take it, whatever I can take.
All right, let's do another couple questions here. All right, Mr. Roy says, how does the Based Sharon token differentiate itself from other tokens in the market? There's a softball
Probably
for
the same. Yeah, probably. Well, number one, she's female, right? Which I didn't highlight before. I think she's probably, I'm not going to say the only one, because I never want to say that, but I think she is one of the only ones that I've seen that is differentiated, right? I am a female developer, which is very different in the market, and I would like to help educate and onboard more females. So that's kind of a difference in our project. And then the other difference is obviously our charity aspect, that we are looking to build a project that creates and generates wealth, but also gives at the same time. So.
Yeah, cool. Very cool. Let's see. We got a couple more questions. So we got a question from Josh. I like this guy's name. He says, what are the upcoming developments or enchantments that users and investors can look forward to? Upcoming developments and enhancements.
Okay. So one of them is the one that I'm not going to talk about right now, just because number
teaser.
one,
Here's your teaser.
We don't want somebody. Well, we don't. It actually isn't like a mystery. We don't want somebody to do it before we're able to develop the platform, right? Another one though is that we do want to we do want to expand and add a voting process to our holders. So eventually what we want this to move into is that we'll have giving partners, but in the process, we'll also allow our community to nominate and vote on the people who are the recipients of the charity wallet. So that is our
Cool.
next phase of this. And obviously they'll be vetted. We'll have a board. That board will help the process, but eventually we want our community to be involved in that giving and directly.
Yeah. That's really cool. You know what? I didn't think about that, but as your community grows, having some mechanism that would allow people to either submit, vote up, what are the charities you're giving to or the people, etc.
Yeah.
What a great way to just get people all rowing in the same direction. So
Yeah,
that's really cool.
I think it's cool. Thanks.
Right on. All right, we got one more question, and then I want to round it out with my own curveball question, which you may have already know from watching these or not.
I do.
But Black, is even prepared. I'm still going to ask it. I don't care.
Well, I can't be prepared. It's a curveball.
So Black asks, do you plan on getting more influencers apart from Steven?
Yes. So right now, just so everyone knows how it works. So the charity wallet, we let that build up to a certain point. It was $5,000, which is why we haven't done another charity video at this point, because our volume is down, right? But what will happen is as the coin grows, as the price goes up, as the daily volume goes up, that charity wallet will be bulked up. At this point, we just have Steven, but he's also offered to introduce us to his other friends who are from that was Epic, and a couple of other giving partners that he has. So we always have kind of a range of people that we can go to, and we are absolutely looking to build that influencer, that I don't even know how to say that, but that influencer pool. It doesn't only have to be in the US as well. We're looking for influencer partners around the world. And I think that's something that we have to be really aware of, is that, crypto is not just in the US. We have to make sure that we're touching every part of the globe with this, because it is global. So we are interested in speaking with influencers in different countries as well.
Yeah. It's great that you already have one on board, because it adds that extra layer of trust and credibility. And also a little bit of FOMO maybe, right? For other people who are like, oh, Steven's doing it. Like, okay, there's something here. So that's really awesome that you have at least one on board for now.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's move on. I got one more personal question for you, and then I got my curveball at the end.
How personal? How personal?
No, not that personal, but
okay,
kind of personal. So, you said you run your own business, so you're an entrepreneur, you're a mom, right? And now you have this crypto project. Like, how are you one, finding your sanity, because Jesus, but two, like, how are you actually organizing your day and your week to do all this? I'm genuinely curious, because I've been struggling with this myself.
So I'll shout her out. She's not watching this, but I have an unbelievable assistant. So she started off as our nanny 10 years ago. And then when my daughter, who's the youngest one, went to kindergarten and was in school full time, I didn't want to lose her. And so I said to her, can you come be my personal assistant? So now she's my personal assistant, plus she edits our podcast and produces our podcast for us as well. Yes. So I wanted to find a way that she could have a stepping stone into a different world as well. So she actually owns half of the podcast with me. And we just got monetized, so that's a whole different ball game. But what I do is she handles all of the home stuff and anything that has to do with like school or appointments or anything like that, so that I can break up my week between my recruiting agency, which right now we have 3 offices. So I manage a team, but I have team leads in each one of those offices, so I no longer have to do pavement pounding work anymore. And then we do the podcast one time a week, and then crypto's kind of like in between whenever I can possibly fit it in. So I'm like on the couch at night, I like am reading to my daughter, and then like we'll flip over to Telegram for like a half hour while they watch TV, and then like put them to bed and then get back on Telegram. So that's my life right now.
I
Yeah.
thought I was a master juggler or plate spinner, but I think you might take the cake. Seriously.
He just has to hire a good assistant, Kevin. That's it.
I've got one.
There we go.
Still pushing. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
It's hard. I mean, it's hard, but I think my husband will always say that when I'm busy, I'm the most productive, right? And I work really well under pressure. That's just how I've always been.
Me too.
So
Yeah, I get it.
yeah. Yeah.
I was
So
just
that's,
we were just having a dinner party here at our house this past weekend, and I was catching up with a friend, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on? Like, what's new?" And I was like, "Oh my God, man! Like, I launched this meme coin, and I've already got these other businesses, and I'm like, it is pure chaos, and I love it,
yeah.
but I kind of hate it,
Yeah.
but I really love
Well,
it."
it's great. It's great until you get burnt out. So like those first few weeks, you're on an adrenaline high, right? And then all of a sudden
Totally.
you're like, oh my gosh, I have to be in this Telegram like 24/7, like, and so then it becomes, so I teeter, and you probably feel this way too, or maybe not, but I always teeter on like, okay, this is great. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I could just like sleep a little bit, like sometimes I just need like a breather. And my team is really good at saying like, Chelsea, go, like I'm sick right now. They're like, can you just take it easy for us? And I'm like, if you will, I will. I feel like I should have that deal
Yeah.
with them. If you do, I do,
Yeah.
but it's hard. It's hard. And it's an easy burnout, I think, sometimes when you're just working 24/7.
Yeah, you got to find your stride for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's way too easy to burn out, especially when you've got other things, in the, in life and in business that you also
Yeah.
have to attend to. So, it's
Yeah.
especially with a long-term project where you're not in it for the quick pump and dump, it's like, it's all about how do you create more longevity in your own ability to show up and be effective. So yeah,
It's a
finding your stride.
marathon, right? It's not a sprint.
Exactly.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Are you still like, the one thing that I've noticed is that that people are constantly asking, what are you doing next? What are you doing next? What are you doing next? And I think that kind of puts you in this hamster wheel of like constantly, you want to constantly build, but you also want people to just at some point to be content with what you're doing at this point. And I think that the crypto space is so fast and is constantly like looking for the next big thing that it's hard to keep up. So I was going to ask you how you're keeping up with that.
Yeah, I've honestly found that, early on in the project, I felt like I just couldn't do enough, post enough, show up enough. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, it was like I was going a million miles per hour and I was enjoying it, but it wasn't sustainable. And also I found myself like, I can't be doing some big update or, new listing like 3 or 4 days a week, every week. It just doesn't work like that.
No.
But, what I found, over, the medium term, because my project's about 5 months old now, is the more that I can like show progress, be transparent about upcoming plans, certainly showing up, creating content on YouTube, growing an audience absolutely helps. But I think with, on our side, we're building, the game portion. So involving the community in that process, showing, early screenshots and gameplay and updates. It's that level of just keeping people, especially the long-term holders, in the know that like,
Yes.
hey, like maybe we're not doing some crazy listing like every other day, but like this is the progress that's getting made this day, this week, this month, and here's what we're reaching towards. And just being as open and honest as possible about that process. And, that way at the end of the day, like I can look at myself, I'm like, hey, listen, like I'm just giving you the real.
Yeah.
Like you know as much as I do right now.
Have you, and one more question. Can I ask you one more question?
Yeah, of course.
What have you guys done with listings? like with exchange listings. Have you gone after any of those, or have you? I know like it's a pay to play game, right? It's like
It
30,000
is.
here, 40,000 there. So you haven't gone after any of those yet.
No, the only one that we've gone after, or there's two that we've gone after, and they're both decentralized exchanges. So
Okay.
CoinGecko is obviously a nice milestone.
Yeah.
That's largely a little easier, but you do need some traction to be able to get
Yes.
listed on CoinGecko. That should be your first pass if you haven't already. The next kind of jump up from there is CoinMarketCap, which is like $5,000 pay to play at this point in time.
Yeah.
And those are kind of like the mainstay decentralized exchanges, and then you kind
Mhm.
of get into all of the more obscure centralized exchanges where
Yeah.
it's like 30,000, 50,000.
Which nobody tells you to, right? Like I feel like that's something that's completely kept out of the playbook, right? That, like
It's
that's what it is. It's crazy.
insanity. I
Yeah.
mean, if you have like a large market cap coin where you're like,
Yeah.
over and or around 100 million, and you can pull out from, your like marketing budget or whatever budget you have in your tokenomics, great. It can make sense, but it's still really expensive.
Yeah.
But the thing I'll say is I was really like dead set, and it was a lot of my ego being like, I gotta get on
Hmm.
CoinMarketCap. We gotta get on CoinMarketCap. I gotta do this for the community. And I pushed and pushed and pushed trying to get on there without the $5,000.
And you had to in the
Wasn't
end.
I haven't yet, and I
Okay.
will at a certain milestone. Only because I've watched other projects get listed on CoinMarketCap, have this like nice little pump, and then right back down
And
to
then
their
it dumps
floor.
again. Yeah.
So I'm trying to do it a little bit more responsibly rather than
Hmm.
just feel like, oh, I got to be part of the cool crowd or prove that I'm cool, and just take a bit more of a responsible approach to
Yeah.
how the existing marketing budget and those things are spent.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's
So
great. It is funny, like, look, because that's what everyone wants, right? And obviously it creates volume, but then you look at it from the outside, as far as people looking out from the outside of crypto, and they're thinking like the space is sketchy. And then when you get in here and you're like, oh my gosh, people are paying $100,000 to list. Like obviously, it is you're it is a pay for play game. You're backed so you can get
totally,
the volume, right?
yeah,
It doesn't mean that we can't. It just means it's harder for us, and
totally.
and it's
Just
more
takes more
work.
time. Yep.
Exactly, which is fine, you know.
Yeah. Good question.
Hmm.
All right, before we wrap this up and close out the live, I got my curveball question for you.
Okay.
So
Oh
this
no.
again, like this, like put crypto and your share on the side. If you could put a billboard anywhere in the world for 24 hours, only 24 hours, where would you put it, and what would it say?
Oh gosh. I think I heard you ask this. I should have studied up.
It's my
Um,
favorite question to ask people.
I
It's such a
know,
good
right?
icebreaker.
Um, for the coin, for the project.
No, this is you personally. Project aside.
Oh gosh. Um, let's see. I think. I mean, it would definitely be in New York, probably. Um, a- and I, you know what? I'm gonna go with the easy one. I'd probably put Sharon on it, and I would say the
No, it
crypto
can't
that
be that.
cares. Yeah, I'm
No, it
totally
can't be
doing
that.
it.
No, no, no. No, I'm not letting this pass. This can't be a
All right.
marketing ploy for your project. This is
Oh
like
God, I have so
Chelsea's
many. I
billboard.
have so many good quotes. So I think I would put it in New York, and it would probably say, "You can't win if you don't try."
Oh, I love that one. That's a good one. I'm glad I held your feet to the fire and
There we go.
didn't let you off.
You got it. You got it out of me.
Hey, I really enjoyed this conversation. You
Me
are
too.
exceptional. I'm really impressed with just everything that you've shared today. I'm really glad we met too. I'm really happy to know
Yeah, me
you and
too.
connect with you, Chelsea. So I hope this isn't the last
Thank you.
time we get to either do a show and connect. And you definitely have my support. So
Oh, thank you so much. You as
congratulations.
well. And yeah, we'll stay in touch for sure. And I'll keep being on these, listening to these shows because I think they're awesome. So, thank you so much
Right
for having
on.
me on.
Cool. Everyone that came and checked out the live stream or listening to the replay, thanks so much for joining today and all the great questions. Really appreciate you, and hope you got some good value from an awesome conversation. And I'll see you in next week's Legit Crypto. Later, everyone.
Bye.